Steven Milhausen here at C2E2 with WWE Hall of Famer and commentator Jerry the King Lawler. And Jerry, what brings you to C2E2 today?
Well, you know, this is, I think, the third year in a row that I've done C2E2. I'm, of course, a big nerd at heart, comic book fan from way back, all the way back when I was a kid growing up. I'm an artist by, I guess by design or something. I've been able to draw for as long as I can remember. When I was a kid in school, I'd get notes sent home to by the teacher saying, you know, Jerry's a great artist, but unfortunately he draws when he should be doing his schoolwork. I had at one time imagined myself as a comic book artist. So I've had a love for comic books my entire life, and then once I got up into wrestling, the way I got into wrestling was actually by drawing comic book type pictures of the wrestlers and sent them into the TV show, and they got noticed, and I got to meet some of the wrestlers, got my foot in the door. And so now all these years later, I've kind of come full circle. I get to come to Comic Cons like this, and I actually get to, I'm here because of my friend, this guy right here, Mike Kingston. He has put out these headlock comic books, which I draw the cover for. And I've done the cover for several of his comic books, and he's here promoting them, and I'm here promoting me and the comic book. And it's a great comic book, as a matter of fact. It's about a kid that, if you've ever, and a lot of people, of course, fantasize about someday being in wrestling. Well, this is a story of a young kid who thought that he really wanted to be a wrestler, and this kind of the story kind of pulls back the veil and shows the behind the scenes of what it's like for a young kid to start out and try to, well, live his dream of being a wrestler, and the hardships that he goes through, and working into his way up through the small little independent promotions, trying to make it to the big time. And it's a really cool book, and there's a lot of inside stuff that you can find out about the wrestling business in this book. It's called Headlock by Mike Kingston. That's one of the main reasons I'm here. Another thing, I'm just meeting the fans, signing a few autographs, taking a few pictures, and getting ready for Extreme Rules pay-per-view tomorrow night here in Chicago.
Did you ever, you know, want to just be a full-time comic book writer instead of going into wrestling? Was that, or are you happy with everything that has happened?
Yeah, no, I'm perfectly happy with everything that has happened. I did want to be a comic book writer, just a comic book artist. I mean, drawing, and I really basically, the more I got familiar with the comic book industry, I realized I would never have the patience or the time to actually do all the interiors and that sort of thing. So I concentrated mostly on covers, and I've got some friends in the industry. Dynamite Comics, the owner of that company, is a friend of mine. I've done some covers for Dynamite, the Zorro comic book, and so I've got to do a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do for a long time in the comic book industry. But coming to these Comic Cons, seeing these artists over at Artist Alley and everything like that, it kind of re-inspires me and gets me all fired up to want to go back to the drawing board and do some more art.
What's the weirdest thing you've been asked so far? What's the worst thing you get asked at something like this?
To sign something unusual.
Or on something?
On something.
You know,
let's see, what have I signed at this Comic Con? I don't know, the weirdest thing is probably a samurai sword at this one, but of course body parts have been signed in the past and that sort of thing. But and you get asked a lot of unusual questions. The main one is wrestling real? That's the main thing I get.
Do you think people would stop asking you that question after all these years? I asked Booker T this question. I'll ask you the same question. Wrestlemania, a lot of the big noise coming out of that show was Ronda Rousey's appearance with The Rock. And what did you make of the biggest star in the UFC coming into the WWE world?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people would look at that as saying, oh, here's a big star from the UFC coming, like you said, into the WWE world. But, I mean, you know, in the grand scheme of things, the stars in the WWE far outshine the stars in the UFC worldwide in popularity. But it's always a great marriage, so to speak, when you can get and get the rub off each other. I mean, it's like cross promotion. It's good for everybody involved. And to see Ronda Rousey, you know, in a WWE ring, I know for me, because I'm a big fan of hers, it was exciting. It was fun, and it caused a lot of talk, which is exactly what it was designed to do. So that's great. But you know, talking about Wrestlemania in general, there were so many cool moments at this past Wrestlemania that we call Wrestlemania moments. That, I mean, and that's a moment that becomes instantly unforgettable. It's something that you never thought you would see. Like suddenly in the match between Triple H and Sting, all of a sudden there was DX facing the NWO. I mean, you know, with Hulk Hogan and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash all out there. And it was just, you know, that's something nobody thought they would ever see, and suddenly there it was. Another great WrestleMania moment for me, well, of course, Ronda Rousey being in a WWE ring, and then in the Undertaker match. Oh my God, when Bray Wyatt had the Undertaker stretched out, laid out in the middle of the ring, and then he turned over and did that freaky spider-type crawl that he does upside down over towards the Undertaker, and then suddenly the Undertaker just sat up, vintage Undertaker, and Bray Wyatt just crumbled. He just fell over. To me, I mean, that's just me personally. Only my dry cleaner will know how much I enjoyed that moment. It was really great. I'm telling you, there were so many good WrestleMania moments that I'll be honest with you. On paper, I didn't think it going in, but to me, this had to be one of the best WrestleManias that I can remember.
That's what a lot of people have said too. That they were just a little disappointed with, you know, the build and everything. Everyone's like, oh man, it's like, wasn't it usual WrestleMania feel that we always get? And like you said, the show more than delivered. And
oh my gosh, it was a complete home run. It was awesome. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Do you think we'll ever see more cross promotion between UFC and WWE? You know, we've seen Ronda. You know, Brock's back. You know, CM Punk left WWE, now in UFC. Do you wish there was more cross promotion between the two? Because I think it's beneficial. It's not just WWE, but also to the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it remains that mutually beneficial, I'm sure we'll see some more. And I think everybody, both the WWE fans and the UFC fans, enjoy something like that. You know, you got CM Punk now, who is we're waiting to see how he's going to turn out in the UFC. I mean, who's to say that, you know, he does not do well and wants to come back to the WWE? I mean, there's so many possibilities out there that are on the table that could be where it's put the spotlight on both WWE and UFC.
You think he ever comes back?
Man, let me tell you something. Don't ever say never in the WWE. Anything and everything can happen.
You know, tomorrow night, a big event here in Chicago, Extreme Rules does take place. And what are you looking forward to tomorrow night? Because there's a lot of good matches on the show.
Honestly, I'm just looking forward to trying to stay healthy. You know, after what happened with Brock Lesnar and all the announcers on Raw a few weeks ago, and when the show was titled Extreme Rules, you know something bad's going to happen out by the announce table. So I'm just going to be, you know, minding my P's and Q's and on my tiptoes and watching out and trying to keep from being squashed underneath one of those announce tables.
You need to protect Michael and JBL there.
Yeah, well, Extreme Rules, it's every man for himself.
Do you ever wish that, you know, back, you know, when you first started your career, if MMA was around, that you would have gotten inside the cage and had a couple fights?
No.
Why?
I've never wished that at all, not for a minute. I don't know, it just didn't appeal to me. You know, I never, I think I like and the one thing that I think they don't do enough of in the UFC is I like the promotion and the build-up of a match more than I like the actual match. I mean, I always enjoyed being on television talking about what I was going to do to my opponent much more than I enjoyed doing something to my opponent. I mean, it was just, you know, I think I would like the UFC a lot more if they would let the personalities of their fighters come out more and be exposed more. And, you know, I mean, there may be a reason that they don't. The guys may not last long enough to get, you know, to get a lot of attention from the fans, but that's the one thing, you know, that I really love about WWE and wrestling in general is that, you know, the characters and the personalities that we get to really let shine, so to speak, in the business. And that to me was always missing and lacking in UFC. So I would gladly stick to wrestling.
I asked a lot of athletes this question today, and I'll ask you the same question. We'll end with this. And Floyd Mayweather, WrestleMania 24, you know, he's got the big battle coming up with Manny Pacquiao. And Mayweather, Pacquiao, who wins?
Oh my gosh. You know, that ordinarily I would, almost any fight that I could think of, I could pick a winner because I would have somebody in mind that I thought would win. I have no clue. I mean, both of these guys are so evenly matched. I mean, I just got to say toss-up. It's just good. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to watch it. But I have no clue who to win. And honestly, I don't even really have a favorite, even though Floyd You know, Floyd Mayweather has come and worked with us in the WWE. He's a great character. He's a cool guy to be around. But Manny Pacquiao, I have nothing against him. I like his style. I like his fights. So to me, this is going to be one of those that I just watch two guys go in and beat the hell out of each other, and I'm going to just sit back and have fun.
Now, is Jerry the King Lawler having a Mayweather Pacquiao party, spending the $100, or are you going to go somewhere and watch the fight?
I'll probably go somewhere and watch it.
It's a little expensive. It's unbelievable, $100 for one pay-per-view.
I mean, and I've heard some of the ticket prices, if you're actually going to attend, are just through the roof. But I mean, you know, hey, that's supply and demand. That's the way things are. Everybody wants to see this fight, and what's the old thing? You know, if you get something they want to see, they'll come.
I couldn't agree more, Jerry. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.